Happy Monday, March 2nd, 2026. We've got some really cool stuff to talk about today in comic book news. We've got a brand new shared universe coming to comics that wants to compete with Marvel and DC. We're going to talk about the first crossover event to take place in the Absolute Universe. And on top of that, Jim Lee is actually contributing to the interior art on Spider-Man and Superman. We've got more information on that and more stories to talk about. Let's just jump right into it. So we have a brand new comics shared universe that wants to compete with Marvel and DC. This is the Summit universe. Now, saying that they want to compete with Marvel and DC is a tall order for sure, but let's look into this article. Let's see what they have to offer. I believe this was a crowd-funded project. As we announced last month, Summit Comics is launching a brand new shared superhero universe, beginning with the giant-size anthology Summit Pinnacle. The debut of the Summit Comics universe occurs in that one-shot, which contains over a dozen stories. Earlier this month, we exclusively previewed one of those stories, Trench, by writer Devin Arscott, artist and colorist Nicolo Arcudi, and letterer Adam Barnhart. I'm sorry if I butchered those names. I did the best I could. Let's take a look at that exclusive preview to start this off. So yeah, brand new shared universe. Let's see if there's any images here. Here we have a look at some of the pages in the comic. Interesting art style. This is the character, the Trench, I believe. Looks like some kind of alien or something. All right, let's see what this article says. Summit Comics is planning to do a shared universe line of books the right way, starting with a number of new characters from an impressive collection of independent comic book creators. In other notable attempts at shared universes, there's often a connective tissue that ties the new characters together. In the Wildstorm universe, it was the Gen Factor Serum. In the Ultraverse, it was the Jumpstart Effect. In the Summit universe, it's a day when one of the most powerful heroes sacrificed themselves in the equivalent of a nuclear explosion to destroy a giant ultra-terrestrial, and the effects of the explosion and the alien's blood lead to a number of characters getting superpowers. So that's interesting. That's how this universe this is a key factor to this universe coming together, and some of the key characters actually getting their powers. Okay, that's definitely interesting to know. As we see in the Trench's introduction, that same explosion woke the Trench up from a deep stasis, as Trench had come to Earth to bring knowledge to humanity and bring Earth into a greater galactic community. But Trench was very disappointed in humanity and instead went into a self-imposed state of suspended animation. Okay, that's interesting too, because that shows that this is going to have a larger galactic universal kind of, there's going to be aliens and different, civilizations involved in this storytelling. That's always a good thing to see in your, comic book universe. The fact that this is crowdfunded, they need to get good sales on their initial books to keep this going. So if this sounds interesting to you, make sure you go pick this up. Make sure you ask your local comic shop to order this for you, or you go and, buy it on their website, however it is that you're supposed to, buy these comics. So let me know if this shared kind of superhero universe is something you're interested in. Let me know if you back this book. Let me know if this was even on your radar to begin with, and if you'd be picking up this book in the comments down below. Okay, next up, we have DC's Absolute Universe's first crossover event is officially on the way. What we know is that it's going to be a 4-issue miniseries that ties, the stories of a lot of the different characters together. They say they want this to be a very simple thing that's easy to grasp and jump in on, not an over-complex event. As we know with Marvel and DC, some of their events are so out there that they're hard to follow. I know, specifically some of the DC events like Infinite Crisis, for example, they can get a little convoluted. So they're trying not to go in that direction with this, which I think is a good idea. Per Popverse, DC Comics has unveiled the beginnings of the first major crossover event to hit the Absolute Universe. The crossover will see the events of Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, and Absolute Wonder Woman converge for a story that has already been compared to 2025's Absolute Evil one-shot by none other than DC Comics executive editor Chris Conroy. During an appearance at Comics Pro, Conroy explained, "As I think you all know, we are mindful about keeping the Absolute Universe sort of at the size it is. This is going to be easy to understand. It's going to be easy to get on board. It's not going to disrupt the stories," Conroy continued. "The Absolute Universe event is going to kind of build the universe in the same way that Absolute Evil did. So, as you can see, you can get an incredible book like Absolute Green Arrow out of just the one shot." So I talked about that in my video last week, that we are getting Absolute Green Arrow as well. Let's see if I can just bring up a picture of that. Here's a picture someone posted on Reddit. He's got this like skull face with like spikes as a goatee, and then we look at his bow and it's made out of 2 swords, which is really cool. So can't wait to see, the potential of this character in the Absolute universe. And I know a lot of people are big fans of Green Arrow. So yeah, that's really cool. Going back to what Chris Conroy said about the event, you're going to be very excited to see what we can do with the canvas of a full event miniseries. This is going to tie stories together in a way that I think people are going to get really, really, really pumped about. That is all I can say about it for now, but it's coming in a big way. I do like how he said that they're trying to keep the Absolute universe simple in a way so that there aren't like too many characters in there and too many crazy side stories going on, and they want to be focused and have a direction. At least that's the way I'm taking it. I think that's a great thing to hear because you don't want it to get convoluted and weighed down and kind of have what happened to it, the same thing that happened to the Ultimate Universe at Marvel, where by the end it kind of petered out and people weren't as interested in it. We don't want Absolute universe to go that way. So I think they really need to focus on what they do well and have a clear purpose in their stories that they're telling. And I'm excited for this event. So let me know if you're excited for this Absolute Universe event. I want to hear your thoughts on this in the comments down below. This is really cool. Marvel Comics revives What If. Marvel did the What If series way back in the day, and we had some really cool stories come out of there. I actually have one of the What If omnibuses. Here's one of them right here. And as you can see, we have the Fantastic Five with Spider-Man there on the front. So I'm definitely interested in what they're going to be doing in this incarnation of What If. Okay, this is cool. This graphic we have here letting us know some of the stories. Let's read these titles. June, we're going to get What If Cyclops Had Stayed with Madeline Pryor. Okay, now remember, Madeline Pryor, Cyclops had got together with her after the death of Jean Grey. Madeline Pryor was like a exact copy of Jean Grey. She looked exactly like her. Well, that's because we find out that she was a clone, essentially created by Mr. Sinister. He wanted to birth a weapon that could destroy Apocalypse. Anyway, that's an interesting story, definitely, to see what would happen if he had stayed with Madeline Pryor, how his life would be different, how events would have unfolded. We've also got what if Thor got Spider-Man's symbiote suit? Okay, so Thor was involved in the original Secret Wars, right? Original Secret Wars, not the Jonathan Hickman one. Spider-Man comes back from Battle World with this symbiote suit. Now, originally, he didn't know it was a symbiote. We didn't know it was Venom. It was just this black suit. But this is going to say, okay, what if Thor is the one who ended up with that suit? What would have happened? That sounds really cool. What if the Ultimate Universe survived the Secret Wars? That's another thing, right? Secret Wars. Now we're talking about Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars. And this one's in July. What if the radioactive spider bit Jessica Jones instead? That's definitely interesting. Now, Jessica Jones has like super strength or something already, right? So would she be like even stronger than Spider-Man? Or this is pre-Jessica Jones getting her powers? What are Jessica Jones' powers? Let me know about Jessica Jones if you're a fan of her in the comments. And then what if Kraven survived the last hunt? Now, that is obviously the most famous, one of the most famous Spider-Man stories where Kraven does unalive himself. Sorry for the spoiler, at the end of Kraven's last hunt. That's a really famous story. So this is saying, what if he made it through that? How would things be different? And remember, he bested Spider-Man in that story. So there are big implications to that. That's interesting to see. In August, we have what if Captain America was unfrozen in 2099? That's very cool. I'm hoping we get a Spider-Man 2099, hanging out there, and some of the other future characters. What if the Runaways hadn't run away? Interesting as well. And then what if Cassandra Nova killed Charles Xavier? Obviously, she is the twin, the kind of the unborn twin of Charles Xavier. We saw her in the Deadpool movie. All really cool stuff. I'm really excited for this. I hope that gives enough of an explainer on, backstory about what these stories are. I'm going to read this. Let me know if you're interested in this, if these stories sound cool to you. If I got anything wrong about these stories, let me know if you're going to be picking up this comic in the comments down below. Next story we're talking about today comes from Bleeding Cool, and it's about the fact that Jim Lee is going to be doing interior art on Superman Spider-Man. That's great. Jim Lee doesn't do a lot of interior art nowadays. Obviously, he was doing Hush. He's, does a lot of covers, but he is busy, as president of DC Comics running the business. So I understand that. And let me tell you, despite what you might think about, his taking a long time to put things out sometimes, I think the quality of his work, and again, he's running a huge company, but I think the quality of his work has not degraded. I think his art is just as good as it ever was, or maybe better. So I'm always excited when Jim Lee is announced to be, doing a bunch of art on something, whether it be covers or especially interior art. So this is great. He's going to be drawing Gambit, Lois Lane, and Mary Jane because he's doing the Tom King story that is in that book. Obviously, Superman, Spider-Man being such a big book, it's going to feature a bunch of different stories. His story obviously is going to be featuring Gambit, which, he used to do art for the X-Men. He's no stranger to drawing characters like Gambit, but also Lois Lane and Mary Jane, which is a cool couple of characters to see come together in this crossover event. I'm not sure that we've ever seen those two characters together. And then here we have, it looks like this is going to be like a full 2-page panel. I mean, like I said, there's a reason that Jim Lee is a legend. His art is amazing. His style is quintessential comic books. And this is an amazing Gambit. And then, of course, we have, I believe this being Lois Lane right here in the bottom left, as well as Mary Jane back here. With the glasses, always looking like a, superstar, Mary Jane, because you got to remember, she's very famous in the Marvel Universe as an actress and stuff, and other things. And then, of course, now she's a hero, and she's become a hero several different times. Mary Jane's crazy. Lois Lane has stayed, I think, pretty much just as a regular person, not a superhero. They've kind of went in a different direction with that character in DC. So anyway, this is really cool. This art looks really amazing. I love how he's like, crushing the top of this car, and he's got his classic cards there. Of course, charged with kinetic energy, which is what Gambit does, right? And he's throwing those cards, who knows at what. And this is very Mary Jane here, just adjusting her glasses in the background. And then, of course, Lois Lane's like, okay, let me block the sun so I can see what's going on here because I got to write a story about this. Let me get up in the action. It's just interesting that those are two really cool, female characters, and they're definitely different in a lot of ways. So I can't wait to read the story where they interact. Let me know if they've ever interacted before in the past. I'm not aware of it. If they have, let me know if you're excited for this Superman Spider-Man crossover and for the fact that Jim Lee is doing interior art where it's bringing together an X-Men and, two iconic characters, plus I'm sure other villains and stuff. This is all really cool. And I want to know what you think about this story and everything else in the comments down below. All right, let's take a look at the new comic books coming out this Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. We have Batman #7. Now, we talked about this. This is going to be the comic that does some kind of a reveal for the origin of the Joker, at least for now. As we know, these things always change. Things always return to the status quo or get retconned later. But I've done a story on this. This is going to be a significant issue. This Matt Fraction run of Batman has been great so far. I think this is a very highly anticipated issue, and it may be collectible. So definitely pick this one up and let your comic book store know that you want it. Absolute Superman. I've heard this picks up a lot. I'm going to get into this. I've only read the first couple issues, but I'm caught up on, Absolute Superman and Wonder Woman. And so I just got to get caught up on this one too. And then, of course, Absolute Flash. Same thing for me. Got to get caught up. Flash is one of my favorite DC characters. DCKO5. This is huge too. I mean, is this the conclusion to the whole thing? Well, it's certainly the last two here, which we have. Spoiler alert, but if you didn't read the last issue, Lex Luthor is the only one remaining to fight Apocalypse. Seeing how this plays out is very important to comics, DC Comics going forward, at least the main universe. And it's been a great event. I personally have loved it. I know that the whole Heart of Apocalypse thing was used as a plot device to get to do a bunch of nostalgia and, fan service, but comics have been doing that for a long time. It's nothing new to me, so I don't care when I see it. I mean, as long as the ideas are really cool, and I think they were really cool, we're all definitely picking this one up. Come on. Amazing Spider-Man #23. I think this is the first time he's kind of figuring out, or since that Mary Jane has taken on the Venom, symbiote. So interesting implications in this issue. Poison Ivy, another character that I love in DC, and I have to get caught up on this. I'm definitely reading this today. I'm also getting caught up on X-Men. I think the beginning of this run's pretty good. We've got Batgirl, the Avengers. This is going into like a new era of the Avengers with a new writer, I think, right? So that'll be interesting. Batman, Green Arrow, and The Question. I didn't even know about this. #3, that seems cool. Arcadia. Let me know if you know about this comic and if that's cool. Wolverine 17. JSA, I love the JSA. Radiant Black still going strong, 40 issues. I love to see that. Great for Kyle Higgins. We've got Batman Static Beyond. This looks really cool. I don't know what's going on there, but let me know if that's a good comic. Oh, the Marvel Team Up Facsimile. Is this the one where Todd McFarlane did a variant cover? This could be a big one, collectible one coming out as well. Oh, this is cool. Moonstar, an X-Men character who hasn't gotten a lot of love over the years, I think, in terms of her own series. So that's cool that she's getting a #1. And we've got some other stuff here. I wish I had time to talk about every single comic that's coming out in these videos, but I don't because I only have 3 minutes. So we're going to move on to the omnibuses. All right, first we have The Amazing Spider-Man by Zeb Wells omnibus. I'm interested to see what people think about this run as a whole. I read the beginning of it, but I didn't stay with it. And I think I remember hearing that some people did really like this run. Let me know if you're, anticipating this omnibus coming out, if I should get it and go back and read this, and if you're going to be buying this book. We've got Earth 2 from the New 52. I cannot get enough of New 52 omnibuses. The New 52 was a great era, and I think a lot more people look back on it fondly now than they did when it was coming out because it, retconned a lot of things that people liked. People were like, this is taking away, continuity that has been a part of my life since I was a kid. They're upset about it, but then, hey, they retconned it and they changed it back. So anyway, this is cool. I bet you that omnibus is awesome. X Factor Volume 2, I believe this is the Peter David stuff. Walter Simonson. Okay, that's very cool. Yeah, actually more Walter Simonson omnibuses. I need that in my life. That's awesome. And then, of course, because it never stops, more Conan the Barbarian omnis as well. Anyway, that's the omnibuses and comics coming out this week. Let me know what you're going to be picking up and what you're excited for in the comments down below. That's it for comic book news, March 2nd, 2026. Let me know if there's anything major that I missed in this video. Let me know your thoughts on the different stories that I talked about. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.